but we do have a little bit of sound effects. So it's the first ever Judge report. I had to find the gavel sound effect online.
You didn't just put the recorder up to an episode of Judge Judy?
Well, I was thinking of I was trying to think of like I wanted order in the court. I wanted to get like a sound effect of that, but oh well. All right,
we got to find some Mills Lane, right?
Exactly, that's who I was thinking of.
I work in a building named after the guy.
No way.
Cool sound effects and stuff. Yeah,
Mills Lane. Let's get it on.
All right, Judge. Yes, I love it.
What are we doing in the Judge report? So, as we know, last week we were talking about this. That Judge was kind of on his way to meet with the team. Also, he lives, or his home, I guess his hometown is in Linden, which is in Northern California, not necessarily the Bay Area. And we were kind of wondering, like, what's going on here? How come there's no information coming out of this meeting? And Giants seem to be keeping it quiet. The Judge side was keeping it quiet. So I was kind of digging around and just trying to figure out what's the information that's out there. And a week later, or a little bit less than a week later, here is what we know as far as what happened and what the writers are saying about this meeting that the Giants had. So this came out in a couple of different places. The Giants, made it fairly easy for Aaron Judge to sync up with one Stephen Curry from the Golden State Warriors. And here's something I didn't know. Stephen Curry grew up a Red Sox fan. So when he had the opportunity to try and talk Judge away from the Yankees, he saw that as his due diligence as a Red Sox fan to do his best to possibly take someone away from the Yankees. So let's see. I mean, maybe Steph Curry has the magic. We'll see. He's a magician on the basketball court. We'll see if he's a magician when it comes to negotiations of free agents. Okay,
I saw that and I was kind of shocked too when I saw that tweet and he said, I'm doing my due diligence as a Red Sox fan. I go, Red Sox fan? And then I started remembering. So where was he born? Where was
he was born in the same hospital as LeBron James.
Wow.
I think it was in Akron, Ohio, and this is because his pops was playing for the Cavs around that time. But I think the majority of his childhood was spent in the North Carolina area, Charlotte maybe. I have a friend who lives near there. She's a diehard Braves fan. And then he'd spent a lot of time in Toronto as well. But so I don't know where the Red Sox comes from. And I'm not exactly sure.
The Carolinas aren't they kind of just like a no man's land for baseball? You've got Miami to the south, you've got Atlanta off to the east a little bit, or to the west a little bit. And then, you've got the East Coast teams right there. It's kind of no man's land. You can pick a team. I remember when I flew into South Carolina, I flew to Atlanta and it was only like a 20-minute, 30-minute flight from there to, So, I mean, you pick your team, whoever's winning, right? I guess.
I mean, the Midwest is probably just as far away as New York is from that area. So I mean, I guess you do just sort of pick your spot, pick your squad. Maybe you just become a diehard Durham Bulls fan. Maybe that.
There you go. Don't pick an allegiance. Just pick a minor league team and don't care about their affiliation. Yeah, I like that.
The last couple times I was in that area, I was like, man, I want to go to a Durham Bulls game. But the problem with that area in the summertime is, oh my God, the bugs.
Yes.
The mosquitoes, and I get bit like crazy. So, but I do want to go. I do want to go to a Durham Bulls game at some point. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. So the writer, John Morosi, says that multiple meetings, and I said says instead of wrote because what the clip I saw was him on and he was doing a hit on a baseball show. He said there were multiple meetings with Judge and the Giants all the way up to the ownership level. So he got to talk to everybody, all the levels. He says that once the Giants give an offer, he believes that Judge will make his decision possibly before the end of the winter meeting. So this is like a week and a half. So he thinks it's going to happen sooner than later because we had talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about free agency, how sometimes this stuff can kind of linger. But he seems to believe that Judge is just going to, he got his offer from the Giants. He's talked to the Yankees. I don't know where the Dodgers figure in. We heard some stuff with the Dodgers about maybe they want a little bit of shorter deal. But they can always come in late, right? The Dodgers will always be ready to come in and go, hey, can we get, can we talk to you at the 11th hour? And, Freddie Freeman, they did it to Freeman last year. So we'll see what happens there, but he believes it's going to happen sooner than later. So if it's sooner than a week, this will be the only Judge report we ever do. And if it is later, then maybe we will do a second Judge report next week. Okay. John Heyman, the infamous John Heyman, only because his Twitter shorthand is terrible. He writes for the New York Post. Yeah, he you know how you have a teenager and a almost teenager, right?
Two teenagers.
Okay, so your youngest is a teenager.
Yeah.
Text shorthand drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, when I text, it's like full sentences, it's proper spelling, proper grammar. But these children of ours, they just text in shorthand. That's how John Heyman tweets. He tweets like a child texting. So John Heyman wrote that while the Giants and Dodgers seem like the biggest threats to sign away superstar Aaron Judge, both carry potential complications in pursuit against the Yankees, who hold edges for Judge in legacy, ballpark, and familiarity. So that's pretty interesting because legacy, the Yankees are very well, the most famous franchise in MLB history. Though since the last time they won an actual World Series, the Giants have won 3. So from a legacy standpoint, it's not like the Yankees blow the doors off the Giants. Though I get what he's saying. Now, what do you think about ballpark? Because Judge is not hitting many wall scrapers here, right? Judge is putting balls deep in the seats here. Do you think the ballpark actually has an effect on whether or not he wants to leave or not?
I don't think so, because he's going to get more good weather games being on the West Coast. And so not necessarily a ballpark thing, but I'm wondering if he probably doesn't care too much about ballpark, but more the coast. He's from the West Coast. He knows that time zone. He's used to that time zone. He grew up in that time zone. He's used to the climate. San Diego, Los Angeles. Then when you play your interleague games against the A's and the Mariners, you're on this coast. And it's warmer. I mean, it's warmer in the spring and it's warmer in the fall. So I would lean more towards climate than I would ballpark, I think.
Okay. And then the last thing that he mentioned was familiarity, which, that's who he's played his entire career with. So there's going to be some familiarity there. And if it means something to him to sort of play his entire career, we were talking about like Alan Trammell and Ryan Sandberg. He has since 2016, and that is his 7-year career so far has all been with the Yankees. So if he wants to sign that last contract, then yeah, and maybe get if you do sign with the Yankees and you want to stay there for your career, maybe get a no trade clause in there. Because as you get older, it's not to say that they won't ever trade you and that you would stay in the same place. But for his control, if that is a big thing to him, the Yankees would hold the edge there. But what I was kind of interested in is do you think the Dodgers versus Giants, not only is it a giant rivalry for on the field, but is now becoming kind of like off the field, like who's going to get the big dogs out of these? There's Trey Turner's out there, and I think the talk is either that the Dodgers bring him back or he goes somewhere in the East Coast. But yeah, they're going to be, as long as they're both competitive, they're going to be competing for these top level free agents. Do you think the Giants or the Dodgers hold the edge in the place that Aaron Judge could leave to?
I think the Giants hold the edge over the Dodgers. The Dodgers could probably give him more money, probably on a shorter deal.
Yeah.
I think if he leaves the Yankees and goes to a different team, I don't think it's going to be for a short-term deal. It's not going to be for a 5-year deal. It's probably not even going to be for a 6-year deal. I think it's probably going to be minimum 7 years. Because he's not going to leave his legacy behind and say, I'm going to head over to a team for 4 years, 5 years, see what I could do, and then I'll hop somewhere else. The Dodgers are just one of those teams. It kind of seems like you said, they're waiting in the wings. They're going to see what the offers are. They probably have a hotline with Scott Boras. He's going to give him a call and say, all right, here's our numbers. What do you got, Dodgers? And then they're going to come with the highest offer. Is that going to work this time for Judge? Honestly, I don't think so. And there's no way we're ever going to find that out, because Scott Boras will never let that leak that he took the lesser of the deals. He took less money so that his client can stay where he wanted to go. Because as soon as that gets out, then all of a sudden Boras loses his luster, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be one of those things where he might just take a little bit less money, another year or two on the deal, to end up with the Giants. So close to home, fan of the team. If he really does love his home and he really does love to visit his home, any of those breaks, well, he's not going to get any All-Star breaks because he's going to be at the All-Star games most likely. But any breaks that there are, he could just hop right to his house, hop right to his hometown. And also family coming to see his games. That's, if that's important to him, that's a vicinity thing. That's a San Francisco thing. I mean, just, there are so many things, and we keep hearing in the media, there's so many things that line up to Judge being a San Francisco Giant starting next season. But honestly, don't be shocked, Giants fans, and don't hate me for this, but don't be shocked if he signs a 7 or 8 year deal with the Yankees to stay with them, to continue his pursuit in the Yankee record books. I'm sure he would love to play for the Giants, but again, when you establish yourself after 7 years in an organization and you set an American League record for home runs with that organization, that's kind of tough to walk away from, especially if you've got your teammates there, you got your coaching staff there, he's been in and out of the training room. He knows the trainers. So yeah, I wouldn't be completely shocked, but for me, I think it's Yankees or Giants. I really don't think anybody else is in play at the end of all of this.
You don't think the Mets are going to come in and go, we want to steal you from the Yankees? And because they got the owner who's like, money? What does money even mean?
Well, there was that article, and it was kind of brushed under the rug about possible collusion between the Yankees and the Mets, when Yankees ownership said, we won't pursue Judge because that is your player.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Which is very interesting. And again, collusion, not collusion? No, I mean, you're just, if you're not going to pursue that player, you're not going to pursue that player. You either say it or you don't say it. Who cares? But
Well, here's why they would care is that if that meant we're not going to go after your guy as long as you don't go after our guy, then you got problems.
Yeah, if you're talking about a gentleman's agreement and a handshake deal, yeah, okay, yeah, then there is a problem. But if you're just talking about an organization that says, I guess I look at it more from a soccer standpoint too, because a lot of times soccer teams will come out and say, "We're not pursuing Ronaldo. That's just not. We don't want him. He's a Man U player, and we don't want him on our team." So that happens quite a bit in soccer. But I think, yeah, I mean, if there is a deal to say like we won't go after Judge, hint hint, then yeah, that could be a problem.